I'm about to say? Oh, you know, I don't even have to try hard. You know what I'm about to say. First, a good old hearty Sunday may there to you. Now, I know Georgia played yesterday. I wasn't feeling good yesterday. I had a bunch of people hit me up going, hey, Bobby, where you at? You love Bobby? Did you die, Bobby? Did you finally get the old athlete's foot and it ran up through your legs and rotted half your body off? No, I just ain't been feeling good. So what I did was, and I've had to learn this over time with old age, you better chill out and do your videos the next day. Thank you all for joining me. I am Bobby Dirkens. If you're new here, you're welcome. Just don't come in, talk politics. Though I love the Lord, don't talk religion. People get really weird with religion. It's like, yeah, Jesus is living in a tent down by the river. No, he's not. So don't be doing that. I ain't ashamed of the Lord. I just get ashamed when people start twisting things. Don't talk politics on here. I don't talk social issues. You've got 90 million people who's doing that. Go check them out. They'll absolutely depress you and piss you off to death. This is just all football. Hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications. I held up this sign. Georgia sucks. Now, first of all, I have some good Georgia following on here. So to you, no offense. But I want to take you to the beginning of this season, the very beginning of this wonderful, beautiful 2019 college football season. And I called into a friend of mine's show, and I talked about Georgia. And I talked about how they always, if you're a non-Georgia fan, this is what you have to put up with. See how good we recruited this year? Boy, we got one of the best recruiting classes. So I looked it up. Now, this was an old 247 Sports. I have no affiliation with them. They're not sponsoring the show. I'm just telling you where I found it. From 2017. Okay, so this is old. But their recruiting class has still been ridiculous. That in a 15-year period, up to 2017, smack right butt up to it like you're walking through the flea market and everybody's in the crowd trying to get to the good deals. That Georgia has had an average of a top 7 recruiting class. And their last national championship was 1980. Vince Dooley still had color in his hair. Herschel Walker was the premier college football player. This was before Tim Brown ever played at Notre Dame. This was before Doug Flutie ever threw the Hail Mary pass. They're bragging and basing their tradition and who they are. And tradition's great. I'm not going to take away from tradition. I'm not talking about your mama. But they're going to base who they are off of 39 years ago. Charlie Ward hadn't played for Florida State. Ed Reed never even thought about Miami. Okay? I am just telling y'all, that's how long ago it was. That's how long they've been recruiting good and have nothing to show for it. So in the preseason, I called up a buddy of mine on his show, and a guy called in who's a massive Georgia fan. It is not Uncle Lou. I am telling you the truth. It is not Uncle Lou. But this guy who called in is a very nice guy. I've talked to him. He's a kind guy. He's just pulling for his team. But I pissed him off. I could tell because he was the very next caller. I said, Georgia, stop telling us about how good you recruit because we're tired of it. We don't care. This reminds me of so much of the past years were rigged. Only, give it to y'all, y'all did get to the national championship, and you've been to the SEC championship 3 years in a row. You won it one time. And yesterday, LSU absolutely embarrassed you. Embarrassed you. You know the players we were missing? That was not what you were saying when you were going into yesterday before the game. We stand a chance. I believe we're going to do it. Hey, Dale, how do you feel? I feel pretty good. Hey, Ned, what do you feel? Tad. Tad's always the name of a moron you want to hit in the face. Tad, what do you feel? Tad's feeling good over there. I'm not saying Georgia doesn't have talent. Georgia's always had talent. Georgia's always had talent. You got manhandled because of coaching and because you're not as good as you thought you were. You might have had injuries here and there. You knew that going into the game. You should have stopped the trash talk. If Trevor Lawrence got hurt tomorrow, you wouldn't, I would be like, man, I'm pulling for my team, but I'm not going to sit here and go, y'all didn't. You kept going. But I called and I said, stop telling us about how good on this call-in show. Stop telling us about how good you recruit. Stop telling us about who you are and your tradition. Stop screaming SEC. You are not as good as you think you are. Clemson's been now, as of this year, going into their 5th consecutive college football playoff. You've been one time. I mean, I'm serious. And didn't win it, by the way. I am telling you right now, I have no ill will towards good Georgia fans. But the other Georgia fans who's sitting there, you got your big G across your head, you're like, yeah, man, we got that. You have nothing. You have nothing but pissed away talent. You have nothing than smacking your jaws about this, that, and the other. You can talk about Clemson, you can talk about their schedule, and you can talk about how we hadn't beat anybody, except you have to forget 11 months ago when we beat Alabama so bad, with the majority of the team who's playing still right now and all of the coaching staff that we had last year. So when you get online and you look on TV and you see these guys going, Clemson hasn't been battle tested. How about you, John? They're wrong because they were wrong last year. I get so sick and tired of everybody trying to act like a football expert, and you're not looking at the entire picture. The entire picture is y'all return no wide receivers, the only good wide receivers that you were going to have coming back ended up getting suspended because from what I can remember, he couldn't help but slap his girlfriend around, so they got rid of him. And then you turned around and your number one wide receiver, who was the number one pick in the country, who is big and talented, and we were recruiting him, everybody was recruiting him, couldn't keep his hands off of a lower. You didn't even have to try against Georgia Tech, but he couldn't help but sling him. Well, he grabbed hold of him. Teach him a better way of football, because I'm going to tell you right now, if that is going to be a problem for him having to get his emotions out of check with a Georgia Tech football player, y'all have got real problems with him and probably end up kicking him off the football team when in the next year he gets fired up against an SEC opponent. Grow a brain and realize that y'all are not what you thought you were. And normally you're not. Georgia sucks. Your wide receivers couldn't catch a ball that was thrown right here perfectly. What about DeAndre? You had, what, 4 running backs? Zeus! 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 Some of the most mundane, boring play call. I've now renamed y'all to Borgia. They'll bore you to death with their play calling. I guess they don't know this ISO's coming. Bam! I guess they did. Georgia is absolutely all bark. But they have about as many teeth in their mouth as a 1-month-old. With the grasping power of a dead grandma holding on to your hand because she's dead. Georgia, we wished you would stop talking so much trash and just go prove it. The guy who called in that day got really offended by what I said. He said, this is a different coaching staff. Totally different than how our coaches in the past has coached. Totally different. Somebody just asked me, how do you feel about Dabo's pacifier? Feel great. Has 2 national championships under it. How about Kirby's little visor? Y'all might find a sugar bowl. Y'all lose to a Texas team to where some kid who's a punk who doesn't know what "we're back" means goes, "We're back," and then they go what, 7-5 this season? I actually got the media talking about Texas. See, everywhere y'all go, y'all create problems. And listen to me, what Dabo was arguing about is actually right. I don't care what any of the talking heads on the big media says. I don't care what they say on the media. The reason we're all so upset is we can't believe that they hadn't learned. That they haven't learned. That's the reason we're so upset. That's the reason we're annoyed. But Georgia embarrassed themselves. If I'm the SEC commissioner, I'm looking at everybody going, how can we make sure this doesn't happen again? How do we make sure this doesn't happen again? Well, first of all, you have to look at who you're playing. You have to step back. You have to step back and you have to say, how did we lose South Carolina? Dabo was right when he went, why are they sitting here trying to figure out how to keep Georgia in after they lose North Carolina and to South Carolina, and we turn around and beat the team who beat South Carolina, who beat y'all? They're going, how do we keep them out? Everybody else sitting there like crying, going, I can't believe, what a horrible winner. What a horrible, we never said that. Yeah, you did. You've been saying it. You have selective memory. I look at Georgia yesterday, and Ed Orgeron goes out there and drops his underwear and doo-doos all over you. In fact, they dropped another touchdown that had the wide receiver held a score. And they've been 44 to what, 10, 44 to 13? I really don't even care. Somebody said that Kirby's a heck of a DC. But he's not a good head coach. Listen to me. Here's the truth. There's a lot of guys out there who are good at their positions. And some of y'all get offended, like when we're taking up for them, like we're telling you that your baby's ugly. First of all, these people wouldn't speak to you on the street and would barely stop to sign an autograph for you. All right? Listen to me. You get all worked up over this, that, and the other, and these people wouldn't even stop on the street and barely sign an autograph for you. All right? But I'm going to tell you, and I mean this with all of my heart, these guys go out there and they'll coach offense or defense, and they make $1 million or $2 plus. They make way more than you who's getting fired up, taking up for them, whether they're a good coach or not. All right? So, that's stupid. Other thing is, it does not mean that they're a good CEO of their team. It doesn't mean that they're a good CEO of their team. You have to be a good CEO. Dabo Swinney will tell you he's not the greatest X's and O's guys, but he hires them. There we go. So, I know this turned more into kicking Georgia in the tail, but if you're on here doing what I do, you don't hide behind a cute little name that you've created on YouTube and you type out things really bold. You put your face on here like I do. I am telling y'all with everything that I am. I get on here and look you into this camera knowing that bad comments are ready to come. Bad live chats are about to come. People are going to say some awful things. People are going to, oh, he's public enemy number one. They go and post me on these other boards. I love it when you do that because it drives views to my channel. Please keep doing that. You make me money. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Seriously, you do. Thank you. Please keep doing it. Tell them I'm the worst and pass it to everybody. Georgia is absolutely, they play in a weak division. Here's the difference between them and Clemson. Clemson plays, and when we go to the college football playoff, we take care of business. So that means when we play the big teams, we take care of them. You saw what happened, right? Right? You remember that? You remember that? I know you forgot. That was really convenient, wasn't it? Y'all go in and y'all play LSU and you get blistered. Blistered. You lose to South Carolina. I was at South Carolina last week and saw how horrible they are. It's embarrassing. South Carolina in the SEC East. When you talk about the SEC, you have to qualify. You have to split it down between SEC East and SEC West. You have to. Okay, you don't have to. I know this country, you can, I'm American, I pay taxes, I can be stupid if I want to. Keep being stupid, but you have to qualify East and West because East is way different than West. Way different. If Georgia would have been sitting in the West this year, you wouldn't have made it to the championship game. Congratulations to LSU, your #1 seed. Dwayne Rush says, Bobby, I enjoy your videos and I'm a Bama fan. Well, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're a good sport. We all do picking stuff. Now, when people get stupid, I just downright don't care anymore. But you good people, I'm glad you're on here. I'm Bobby Dirkens. Thanks so much for joining me. Congratulations to LSU. They're #1 seed. Ohio State #2. #3, Clemson. I think that's stupid, but it is what it is. #4, Oklahoma. I'm telling you right now, thank you so much for joining me. To all my Georgia fans, thank you for joining me. The good ones, the bad ones, you're just going to lose your mind and talk about how stupid I am. But just go back and read your score from yesterday. I know you probably don't. You stop focusing on your recruiting and focus on what happened yesterday. It tells you everything you need to know about your mundane football team. I'm Bobby Dirkens. Hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications. You keep showing up, I'll keep showing out. Even if you don't show up, but I like it when you show up. I'm Bobby Dirkens.